I could have made a speech about anything. AI, war, social media, body image. But here's how I chose to start my public address instead. Have you ever been part of a first? You know, something you're pretty sure nobody else has ever done? I think I crossed a Rubicon when I hosted a mock trial round in a Dungeons & Dragons game. And if you're thinking, okay, I'm listening to this geeky podcast, but this is one step too far even for me, you're probably not alone. But when it comes to loving Dungeons & Dragons, I'm not alone either. As Wizards of the Coast, D&D's publishing company revealed in a 2020 survey an estimated 50 million people have played D&D, making it the world's most popular tabletop role-playing game. 50 million! That's more than the entire population of California. And as enthused as I am and terrified as you might be to imagine a full state of player characters and dungeon masters, I am concerned that more people don't feel comfortable bringing their proverbial chairs to D&D's table. That's how I started the Dungeons & Dragons public address that I gave around 20 times. To quote BuzzFeed, "You won't believe what happened next." Welcome to the Athen Talk Public Speaking Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Lampert. I'm a professional public speaking coach who's helped students earn over 1,500 championships. Every episode, we dive into a public speaking competition and tell you what it is, why it matters, and the strategies you need to succeed. This is episode 7, Professional Public Address. We've reached the final installment in my 4-part series on the ProSDA, the Professional Speech and Debate Association. It's a league started by Blake Longfellow, a former national speech champion, back in 2020. I went to 6 competitions in a row, competing in professional debate, acting, spontaneous speaking, and this category, public address. PA is really similar to a 10-minute TED Talk. You have 600 seconds to discuss anything you want. You can use prompts, and you're judged on your topic's originality, relatability, and importance. In other words, can you convince your audience your subject is unique, it impacts them, and it's socially significant? So how's it different from a TED Talk? More structure and more substance. It's almost like a research presentation. Your average competitive public address will cite at least one source every minute, and that's what makes it so valuable. Your judges aren't going to be blinded by someone who's a real smooth talker with no substance to back it up. They're trained to assess your speech's research, think about the gaps in your arguments, and sift through very different issues to determine who's doing the best job of defending their case. It's a lot like thesis defense. It's particularly helpful for people in academia or law. My competitors back in 2020 took on a lot of important topics, from legal privacy protections for people in Alcoholics Anonymous, to hormone replacement therapy in the trans community, to modern-day anti-Semitism. So how did a silly little speech about Dungeons & Dragons take home a championship every time? Here's how to win at public address. 4 parts. P-R-E-P. Passion, research, engagement, and personality. First, choose a topic you're deeply passionate about. You need to be a spokesperson and cheerleader for the community or issue you describe. I chose D&D because at the time, I had spent my last year of doctoral work studying both the benefits of and barriers to engagement in this strategy-based, acting-oriented community-building game. Second, do a lot of deep research. Let that research guide your speech's structure. I found out there were 3 barriers that created stigma around D&D. Perceptions about its community, its content, and its culture. I called those the CCC of D&D. In every point, I discussed the problems people have with the game and a way to solve it. 3 problems with 3 solutions. Third, keep things engaging. It may be a more academic category, but it still has to grab the audience. In my intro, I rolled a 20-sided die and I made a joke about whatever number it landed on. In my first point about community, I made fun of the D&D stereotypes of pale dudes with acne sitting around mom's basement casting spells at the darkness and coughing up Cheeto dust in between swigs of Mountain Dew. In my second point on content, I used an image of the ship of Theseus to explain how the material people used to find offensive has been replaced, plank by plank, with more inclusive and welcoming content. And in my final point on culture, I got dramatic and real as I described how D&D has been life-changing as a tool for incarcerated people seeking rehabilitation and discovering a game that can teach math, strategy, theater, ethics, and empathy. Finally, show your personality. This isn't a time to be fake. It's a chance to show why the topic matters so deeply to you. Here's how I ended that speech. Before quarantine, I was pretty miserable. Disconnected from my friends, stuck in a cycle of endless work. But since that time, my D&D games have given me a chance, every week, to see people I love and tell stories we care about. As an 80-year-long Harvard study on happiness explained, the most important factor in longevity and quality of life might just be maintaining our closest friendships. So this speech is for my fellow players, the friends who are making my life the best it's been. A lot of speech topics are about changing the world on a huge scale, but I just wanted to tell you about a little game that changed my world. Let's all be part of a first. The first generation, without stigma or shame, to embrace this magical game. I said that, and I meant it. And after 9 minutes of hearing me back up this game's significance with facts, logic, and data, the judges agreed. So that's my challenge to you. Make your own public address. 10 minutes to sell that story through passion, research, engagement, and personality. Make an outline, record a take, and send it my way. I'll give my thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Authentalk Public Speaking Podcast. That's it for our 4-part series on the Professional Speech and Debate Association. I'm hoping to do a mailbag Q&A episode next time, so please share the pod, leave a review, let me know what you want to hear. Until next time, like always, I'm Ian Lampert, your public speaking professional.